Being a chosen one isn't just a poetic idea, it's a divine assignment. You didn't stumble upon this message by chance. You were guided here. Something in your spirit, that quiet knowing you've carried your whole life, has led you to this moment. And let it be known clearly, this is not just another day. This is your final step, the moment right before the heavens open and release the abundance that was always promised to you. From this moment on, your life is about to change in ways that defy logic, expectation, and even your own imagination. Because, chosen one, the millions are not on their way, they are already here. And they're coming for you. You may not have known exactly what was coming, but deep down, you've always sensed it. You felt the separation, the sacred distinction. That subtle whisper in your soul that told you, there is more. You were made for more. And now, you're standing at the edge of that more. It's not a coincidence. It's not wishful thinking. It is a divine reality calling you into fullness. You are not just a spiritual being growing through hardship. You are a magnet for abundance. You are the vessel through which heaven is about to overflow. This is not the beginning of the journey, chosen one. This is the moment it all comes together. Let me be clear, this is the final step before you step into material blessings, spiritual elevation, and divine purpose, all converging into one miraculous transformation. All the struggle, all the tears, all the nights you questioned your worth, your purpose, your path, none of it was wasted. It was training. Spiritual training for the weight of the blessing you're now ready to carry. The delays weren't denials. The setbacks weren't failures. They were the chiseling of your soul, refining your faith, carving out your strength, and preparing you for this exact moment. Because only those who have been through fire can carry the gold. And here is the truth that needs to settle deep into your spirit: you were always meant to be wealthy. The millions you've dreamt of are not a fantasy or a reward reserved for someone else. They are part of your divine inheritance. They have been written into the scrolls of your destiny long before you ever learned to pray for them. You are not chasing wealth. Wealth is locating you, because you are aligned, awakened, and anointed for impact. And the abundance that is coming is not for vanity. It is for victory. It is not for pride. It is for purpose. Your financial breakthrough is a heavenly tool, placed in your hands, to carry out the sacred mission only you were chosen to fulfill. The world has tried to make you forget who you are. It tried to convince you that prosperity and purpose couldn't coexist. That you had to choose between spiritual depth and material success. But you, chosen one, know better. You were never meant to live small, think small, or settle for scraps. You were created for fullness. And now, heaven is responding to your unwavering faith, your secret tears, and your quiet endurance with a resounding declaration: you are ready. Not someday. Not in the distant future. Now. So pause. Breathe. Look around. This is sacred ground. Your spirit knows it. This is the moment where everything begins to shift. The blessings that have seemed delayed are accelerating. The visions you held quietly in your heart are about to burst into reality. And as your atmosphere begins to change, so must your mindset. You are no longer waiting. You are receiving. And that is a shift of power the world cannot deny. Ask yourself, have I truly accepted that I am worthy of wealth? That I am ready to carry the millions meant for me? Not because I worked harder than others. Not because I was luckier. But because I remained faithful. Because I dared to believe in the unseen. Because I refused to let pain silence my purpose. This isn't arrogance. This is spiritual alignment. And the moment you claim it with full confidence is the moment heaven begins to release it in full measure. That's why this message found you today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but now. Because this is the final step before the floodgates open. The last test of belief. The last pause before the acceleration. This is not a motivation video. This is a confirmation. This is your green light. And not just to believe, but to prepare, to align, and to declare, I am ready for the millions. I am ready to walk in what God has already assigned to me. You've passed the tests. You've remained standing when others fell away. And now, the universe is prepared to compensate you, not just with spiritual wisdom or inner peace, but with physical, tangible, undeniable prosperity. This is your divine payday, chosen one. And you are not only allowed to receive it, you are ordained to receive it. Because what's coming isn't just wealth. It's legacy. It's impact. It's a resource for the kingdom work you've been prepared to carry. If your heart is stirring, if your spirit is rising, then take a sacred pause and let this truth sink in: you are already wealthy. The millions are simply the reflection of what heaven has already decreed over your life. You are stepping into a season where everything aligns: faith, purpose, provision. And it begins with your willingness to believe that it is already done. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been wondering whether your time would ever come, this is your answer. If you've doubted whether your sacrifices would ever bear fruit, this is the fruit. And if you're ready to claim it, not in fear, not in hesitation, but in full surrender and celebration, then declare it now in the comments. Let the universe hear it. Let your spirit own it: I am ready for my millions. Like this message if it speaks to your soul. Subscribe to Grateful to God if you know this journey isn't over, it's just beginning. And share this video with someone else who's standing at the edge of their promise but needs that final push. Because this is not just a transition, it's a transfer. A transfer of power, of position, of provision. And you, chosen one, have been found faithful. So walk boldly. The millions are already yours. Now let's go deeper, because if you've ever wondered why you were chosen, or how your past prepared you for this very moment, what comes next will open your eyes even wider. You weren't chosen because you were lucky. You weren't called because life has been easy for you, or because you were handed privilege, status, or favor on a silver platter. You were chosen because you didn't break when the weight of this world tried to crush you. You were chosen because when others gave up, you kept going. When hope was nowhere in sight, you still chose to believe. That's what sets you apart. And that, chosen one, is why heaven has placed this calling on your life. There is a misconception that being chosen means being better than others. That somehow, God picks favorites based on outward success, charisma, or perfection. But the truth couldn't be further from that. In fact, the content of your calling was carved not in palaces or stages, but in dark, lonely places where you had nothing left but your faith. You were chosen not because you were the strongest by the world's standards, but because your spirit refused to surrender. You were misunderstood. You were doubted. You were even envied for a light that you didn't always understand yourself. And still, you carried it. Even when it felt heavy. Even when it made you the target. What you went through wasn't random. The pain wasn't punishment. It was spiritual training. It was refinement. Every hardship was part of a curriculum that only the chosen endure. Every betrayal, every loss, every night you cried out for clarity, these were not signs of divine abandonment, but of divine preparation. While others were comforted in conformity, you were called into the crucible. You were forged in fire so that when the blessings came, you would have the wisdom and depth to carry them with purpose. And now, you're beginning to understand why the journey was so intense. It wasn't just about survival, it was about becoming. Because the wealth that's being poured into your life isn't casual. It's covenant. The abundance that's about to flood your hands isn't just for comfort, it's a tool for your mission. And not just anyone can be entrusted with that level of responsibility. It takes a spirit that's been tested and proven trustworthy. You've passed those tests. The universe saw in you a warrior spirit. Not someone who was never wounded, but someone who was wounded and didn't let the wounds define them. Someone who fell, but stood again. Someone who lost, but never surrendered. The battle wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to reveal you. It stripped away the illusion of control. It removed the weight of expectations. And it anchored you in something deeper, unwavering faith. And that faith, chosen one, is your signature. It is your badge of honor. You didn't need the world to see your value, you kept going when no one did. You didn't wait for applause, you kept walking when no one was clapping. You didn't need proof, you moved with purpose when all you had was vision. That's what separates you. That's what qualifies you. That's why you were chosen. And now, heaven is ready to reward the strength you didn't even know you had. You may have questioned why your path has been filled with so many struggles. You may have looked at others who seemed to rise effortlessly while you fought for every step. But what you didn't see is what was being built inside of you. Character. Depth. Discernment. Spiritual muscle. All things that no one else could see, but that the universe has kept a record of. And now, that record is being honored. The trials you endured weren't dead ends, they were gateways. And the moment you step through this next door, everything you suffered will begin to make sense. You are not like everyone else, and you were never meant to be. Your difference is not a deficiency, it's your design. You were set apart so that when your rise comes, it cannot be denied that it came through divine design. The millions that are on their way to you are not a lottery prize. They are not a random blessing. They are the visible reflection of a deep internal resilience. They are heaven's way of saying, well done. You didn't quit. You stayed the course. And now, I will trust you with more. This is more than just a validation. This is an invitation. You're being called to remember your worth, not in arrogance, but in awareness. Because from this point forward, how you see yourself must change. You are not someone merely recovering from hardship. You are someone being revealed through it. This identity isn't something you chase, it's something you step into. So ask yourself, what has life tried to bury in you? What pain have you turned into power? What has your journey taught you about yourself that no one else ever acknowledged? These are the gold hidden in your soil. These are the gifts that no one can take from you. And now, the universe is about to show the world what it already knows about you, that you are ready to carry what others cannot. This wealth, this elevation, this rise, it's coming not because you're lucky, but because you're chosen. And you're chosen because you were faithful in the fire. The world is about to witness the strength they never saw coming. And when they ask how it happened, you won't point to talent or timing. You'll point to the tears. To the dark nights. To the prayers whispered when you had nothing left. And you'll know, that was the making of the millionaire. That was the training ground of the called. So walk forward now, not as someone who's unsure, but as someone who finally understands the cost and the crown. This isn't just your season of restoration, it's your era of reward. And everything that broke you is about to bless you. Because you've proven you can be trusted with the weight. Now you'll be trusted with the wealth. And this, chosen one, is the bridge that takes us into what's next, the realization that the wealth isn't the destination, it's the fuel. It's the tool. It's the power placed in your hands not just to live in abundance, but to lead with purpose. Let's now move into part 3, where we uncover the greater mission behind your millions, and how abundance was never meant to end with you, but to flow through you. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the meaning of abundance shifts. It is no longer seen as a reward to be hoarded, but as a resource to be stewarded. And now, dear chosen one, you are standing in that moment. The millions that are coming your way are not simply for personal satisfaction. They are sacred tools, instruments placed in your hands by heaven itself, not to inflate your ego but to ignite your mission. You were never just called to be wealthy, you were called to be impactful. This is not about accumulating possessions. This is about possessing divine purpose. The millions you are about to receive are not the end of your story, they are the power that will push your story further. They're not trophies, they're tools. They're not just symbols of success, they're sacred keys that open doors for others to walk through behind you. As the original message made clear, the millions you're about to receive aren't just a reward, they're tools that will allow you to further your divine mission. You were not chosen just to receive, you were chosen to lead, to shine, to guide, and to lift others. The trials you overcame were never only about your personal growth. They were spiritual qualifications. The impact you are destined to make is not an optional extra, it's the very reason you were chosen. You were chosen because of the impact you will make, the content reminds us. You are meant to live by example, not just talk about faith, but embody what's possible when someone aligns fully with divine purpose. And yet, many chosen ones wrestle with an old script, a belief etched into the soul by religion, culture, or scarcity, that spirituality and wealth are at odds. That true devotion must be accompanied by suffering. That to be close to God is to live in lack. But the truth that now rises within you boldly rejects that lie. You have come to see what the world once feared to believe, that money is not evil. It is not the enemy of faith. It is energy. It is reflection. It is a mirror of what has already been cultivated within. When your heart is generous, wealth expands your giving. When your purpose is pure, wealth amplifies your reach. When your spirit is aligned, wealth becomes holy. Money is simply energy, a reflection of the inner richness you've cultivated, the original message declares, and that richness is now overflowing in you. This isn't about becoming rich for riches' sake. This is about expanding heaven's work on earth. The millions are arriving not so you can indulge but so you can invest, in people, in communities, in spiritual breakthroughs that can only be made possible when you are fully resourced. You are not being blessed just to feel better. You are being blessed so that others may feel seen, known, fed, supported, and lifted by the God who is now moving through you. The kingdom doesn't expand through poverty, it expands through purpose-driven prosperity. Your wealth is meant to fund movements, not just moments. To empower missions, not just meditations. This is what the message meant when it said, your role is not only to receive but to transform, to give, to inspire. You are not the end of the blessing. You are the conduit. You are the riverbank, not the reservoir. You are the one chosen to carry the overflow to places parched by pain and lack. What's coming to you is much bigger than you, because what is flowing through you is divine. So how should you hold this truth? With reverence. With responsibility. And with readiness. The call on your life is not to become a millionaire for yourself, but to become a steward for heaven. You are not the owner of the blessings, you are their caretaker. You will manage them wisely. You will multiply them intentionally. And you will release them strategically. This, too, is a form of worship. Because this wealth is not random. It was written in your scroll before you were born. It is a divine provision aligned with your divine purpose. And if you've ever wondered, why me? This is why. Because the work you are about to do requires resources. The mission demands magnitude. And the favor coming your way has been measured for the size of your calling. So release the guilt. Break the lie that says holy people must be poor people. That humility and prosperity can't coexist. Let go of the fear that says, who am I to be this blessed? The better question is, who are you not to be? God never meant for his warriors to fight empty-handed. You are being equipped because you have been entrusted. As we move into the next phase, it's time to begin thinking differently. No longer from a place of lack or survival, but from a place of divine strategy. The wealth is already on its way. The only question now is, how will you use it? Will you build the vision? Will you fund the dream? Will you feed the hungry soul that comes knocking at your door? Because the real measure of your success is not in what you gather. It's in what you give. It's in what you leave behind. It's in the number of lives that rise because you chose to rise first. That is the calling of the chosen. That is the mandate that comes with millions. And that, chosen one, is what we step into next. Let's move now into part 4, where we confront the past mindset of scarcity and step boldly into the energetic shift of divine abundance. There was a time, chosen one, when you knew only lack. Maybe it was financial. Maybe it was emotional. Maybe it was spiritual. For many of God's chosen, the path did not begin with overflow, but with emptiness. You were not handed abundance. You were introduced to it through contrast. You had to walk through drought to understand the weight of rain. But hear this clearly now, that season of lack was never meant to define you. It was merely a stage, a sacred training ground. For many chosen ones, the journey often begins in a place of scarcity, but this scarcity was not meant to define you. It's easy to mistake hardship as identity. When the money is tight, when opportunity's close, when everything feels like resistance, it's natural to think, maybe this is just my life. But that is the lie scarcity tells. The truth is, what you went through wasn't a verdict, it was preparation. The wilderness didn't break you. It taught you. It refined you. It developed humility, empathy, and discernment. It taught you how to appreciate what others take for granted. That's why you're different. That's why you're ready now. You've passed the test of lack, and it no longer belongs in your vibration. And make no mistake, that time is over. That time is now. That line in the message is a declaration. It marks the moment where the tide shifts. The closed doors you once stood before, they're swinging open. The opportunities you used to chase, now they're seeking you. The exhaustion you felt from striving, pushing, forcing, it's dissolving into a new rhythm of flow, alignment, and divine ease. You are no longer running after provision. Provision is running toward you. This is not a random change. It's not a fluke. It's not luck. This shift is the result of a new frequency that you've stepped into. And that frequency is abundance. The spiritual truth is simple and powerful. When your internal energy changes, your external reality must follow. You are now vibrating higher. You're no longer thinking like someone who's just surviving. You're embodying someone who's thriving. And in that energy, your desires become magnets. You're now operating at a higher frequency. The things you desire are naturally drawn to you like a magnet. This is why certain things are happening for you now that never happened before. You're getting calls, connections, insights, chances that used to seem out of reach. It's not because the world changed. It's because you changed. You're no longer sending out the signal of lack. You're emitting gratitude, trust, bold expectation. And that is the frequency heaven responds to. But with every energetic shift comes a decision. And this one is no exception. As you rise into this new season, you must be willing to let go of the old mindset, the one shaped by fear. And let's be honest, fear has been your companion for a long time. Fear of not having enough. Fear of losing what you gain. Fear of being too blessed and having it taken away. These aren't just thoughts. They're deeply embedded echoes of past seasons. But now they are illusions. Fear of not having enough. These fears are illusions created by a scarcity mindset. They served you once, perhaps as protection. But they no longer align with who you are becoming. You must release them, fully and completely. You cannot carry fear into abundance. You cannot serve two energies. The vibration of lack and the vibration of overflow cannot coexist in the same vessel. As you stand at the threshold of your millionaire season, you are being asked to drop the old identity. The identity that says you're not worthy, that you're cursed, that it's too late or too much. All of it must go. Because you were never meant to stay in survival mode. You were meant to rise. Scarcity, you see, isn't just about your bank account. It's about your heart. It's about how small you've allowed yourself to dream. How long you've let old beliefs tell you you're unworthy. How often you've hidden your light so you wouldn't be too much for others. Scarcity is a system, a spirit, and a story, and you are being delivered from all three. This chapter of your life is about expansion. Expansion in wealth, yes, but also in joy, trust, purpose, and vision. You're stepping into a new vibration now. One where you expect good things to happen. One where you're not afraid to celebrate the overflow, because you know you're aligned with divine purpose. You're operating in gratitude, not grasping. In flow, not force. In certainty, not scarcity. That's what it means to leave the old mindset behind. So let's pause and name this moment for what it is, a divine threshold. You are no longer the person who once struggled to believe things could get better. You are the better. You are no longer the one who waits for permission to rise. You are rising. And everything in your life is about to mirror that inner shift. When you wake up tomorrow, walk like someone who's already free. Speak like someone who has already received. Decide like someone who trusts they'll always be provided for. Because that's what abundance does. It changes not only your outcomes, but your outlook. It changes not just what comes to you, but what you're able to hold. Chosen one, your past was not wasted. It shaped you for the wealth that is now ready to be released. And that wealth isn't just money, it's momentum. It's opportunity. It's peace. It's everything that abundance really is. You are stepping out of limitation and into limitless. You are stepping out of fear and into fulfillment. You are stepping out of survival and into the season of your divine inheritance. And as you embrace this shift, prepare for what's next. Because now that you've let go of the scarcity mindset, it's time to talk about faith. Unshakable faith. The kind that breaks fear wide open and calls miracles into motion. Let's move forward to the next phase, where your belief becomes your breakthrough. There's a moment in every chosen one's journey when the prayer you've whispered for years finally begins to materialize. The door begins to open. The blessings you've long awaited start approaching. But unexpectedly, fear creeps in, not the fear of failure, but the fear of success. And you might quietly ask yourself, am I really ready for this? It's a hidden battle, one that often surprises even the most faithful. You've endured, you've prayed, you've remained faithful through droughts, setbacks, and silence. And yet, now that abundance stands in front of you, the millions, the calling, the prosperity, your heart hesitates. Why? Because for so long, survival was your default. Lack became familiar. And success. It feels unfamiliar. Distant. Even intimidating. But hear this truth. You are not afraid of success because you are unworthy of it. You are afraid because you've been conditioned to expect struggle, not overflow. That fear doesn't mean you're unprepared. It just means you're crossing into new territory. A land your spirit knows, but your mind hasn't yet learned to fully embrace. This is why the original message boldly declares, the universe wouldn't give you these blessings if it did not believe you were ready. Let that settle in your spirit. These blessings are not random. They are intentional. And they're coming now because you've been deemed ready, not just by the world, but by heaven. You've walked through fire, and you didn't burn. You've been buried in the valley, and you still looked up. You've waited, while others were rewarded. You stayed, while others walked away. You've grown not in spite of your struggle, but because of it. That's why you're not only ready for success, you're perfectly positioned for it. Still, fear can feel real. Even paralyzing. And it often whispers the most damaging questions. What if I lose everything once I get it? What if I change? What if I fail in front of everyone? These questions are not the voice of truth. They are the echoes of a poverty mindset, a survival state that once protected you, but can no longer serve you. That version of you, the one that doubts, retreats, and hesitates, must now bow to the version of you that believes, receives, and walks boldly in faith. Because faith is your key. Faith has always been the bridge between your trials and your triumphs. And this season is no different. If fear is the chain, then faith is the fire that melts it. You are being asked now to believe not only in God's ability to bless you, but in your capacity to carry the blessing. Remember what the scripture teaches: God is faithful, He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13. If you've been entrusted with this moment, it's because you've been empowered to stand in it. Your faith is no longer just about surviving the wilderness, it's about stepping into the promised land. Think of Joseph. Betrayed by family, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly, yet he never lost his connection to the divine promise. He held to his faith, even when every external circumstance told him to quit. And because of that faith, he was elevated to rule over Egypt. The same story lives in you. You are rising, not because your path was smooth, but because your soul stayed steady. Your journey is not proof that you were weak. It is evidence that you were chosen. And now, with abundance on the horizon, your faith must rise again, not to endure suffering this time, but to embrace success without guilt, fear, or apology. Let go of the belief that success will change you for the worse. It won't. In fact, success will only reveal who you've already become. It will amplify the character that adversity helped you forge. You're not entering this new season as someone untested. You're entering it as someone refined. Someone who will steward wealth with wisdom. Someone who will bless others because you remember what it feels like to have nothing. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to expand. And if fear still lingers, hold on to this unshakable truth: you were not chosen for comfort, you were chosen for impact. There's a reason why the blessings are coming now. You've reached a level of spiritual maturity where wealth will not distract you from your mission, it will fuel it. So, stand up in your authority. You don't need to keep doubting yourself. You don't need to keep questioning whether you'll be able to handle it. You've already handled so much. Now it's time to handle favor. Handle increase. Handle elevation. And you will, not by your own strength, but by the same grace that carried you through your darkest days. Your past does not disqualify you. Your trauma does not cancel your future. Your scars are not signs of defeat, they're signs of survival. And in heaven's eyes, survival was always meant to lead to revival. Chosen one, success is not your enemy. It is your inheritance. You don't need to justify it, explain it, or downplay it. You've earned it. You've prayed for it. You've cried for it. And now, finally, it's here. Don't let fear talk you out of what faith has been calling you into. Take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let your heart open. Because the blessings you're about to receive are not going to crush you. They're going to complete you. And through your testimony, others will see what it looks like to trust God deeply, even when you don't fully understand the how. Success is not something to fear, it's something to honor. It is your opportunity to lead, to shine, to give, and to glorify the one who brought you through. So break the chains of hesitation. Walk forward with head held high. And declare, I am ready for the abundance I prayed for. I am not afraid. I am anointed for this. Now that fear has been dismantled and faith reignited, it's time to go deeper. Because success isn't just about how you think or what you believe, it's about how you see yourself. And that's where we're headed next, into the mindset of a millionaire, where spiritual maturity meets financial mastery. Let's be clear about one thing: having millions in the bank is only a small part of what it truly means to live in abundance. True wealth, lasting, impactful, spiritually aligned wealth, begins in the mind and overflows from the soul. The abundance coming your way, chosen one, isn't just a number on a screen or a sum you can count. It's a mindset. A posture of the spirit. A frequency you choose to live on every single day. And it is this inner shift, this millionaire mindset, that determines whether you'll merely possess wealth or whether you'll become abundance itself. You see, not everyone who is rich has a wealthy mindset. And not everyone without millions is poor. The difference lies in awareness, purpose, and responsibility. The millionaire mindset isn't just about earning or spending, it's about understanding. Understanding that wealth is a divine tool, not a destination. That money is energy, not an idol. And that as a chosen one, you are not just a recipient of riches, you are a steward of sacred resources entrusted by heaven. The content's original message challenges a common lie, that money corrupts. But the truth is, money only magnifies. It doesn't transform your character, it reveals it. If your heart is kind, wealth gives you the power to give generously. If your spirit is humble, success allows you to uplift others without seeking applause. And if your soul is aligned with purpose, riches will flow into hands that already know how to bless, build, and lead. That's why Proverbs 3 verses 9 to 10 calls us to honor the Lord with our wealth. Because wealth, in its truest form, is an act of worship when it's handled with wisdom and reverence. It's not the amount that matters, it's the intention behind it. And as you step into your financial breakthrough, you must remember, money in your hands is a mirror of your soul. And here's the deeper truth many overlook, the millions you're about to receive come with great responsibility. This isn't about flaunting success or chasing material symbols. No. It's about stepping into divine leadership. You're not being called to spend wildly, you're being summoned to manage wisely. To distribute blessings, not just collect them. To invest in what is holy, not just what is profitable. As Luke 12 verse 48 declares, to whom much is given, much will be required. This isn't a warning, it's a sacred invitation. So now we confront a defining question, how will you carry your abundance? Will it make you smaller, more fearful, more self-focused? Or will it expand your reach, increase your generosity, and deepen your mission? That's the essence of the millionaire mindset, not what you have, but how you use what you've been given. And for the chosen ones, that answer has always been clear. You were never called to hoard, you were called to transform. The parable of the talents in Matthew 25 drives this point home. The servant who hid his gift was stripped of it. But those who multiplied, who invested, who took risk with divine confidence, they were rewarded, expanded, entrusted with more. This is your invitation to multiply. Not just money, but impact, vision, reach. Not just to live well, but to lead well. You were chosen not to be a passive receiver of blessings, but an active architect of good in the world. Money is now your tool, your instrument, your sacred ally. Not to distract you, but to elevate your mission. To empower the work you were always called to do. And the only thing that determines whether you rise with your wealth, or crumble under it, is how well you train your mind before it arrives. You must begin now to think like abundance. Speak like abundance. Walk like abundance. Let your inner world reflect the reality you are stepping into. Because Scripture reminds us in 3 John 1 verse 2, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. It doesn't say instead of your soul. It says as your soul. Meaning, what happens inside is what determines what flows outside. And so, chosen one, ask yourself. Is your mind prepared for stewardship or still waiting for survival? Are you operating from overflow or clinging to lack? Are you ready to hold wealth not as a trophy, but as a tool? Because this is the work of a spiritual millionaire, not someone obsessed with wealth, but someone entrusted with it. Someone who understands that when the inner garden is tended with wisdom, patience, and truth, the fruit on the tree will be plentiful, sweet, and healing for all who taste of it. So let this be your declaration, I am not afraid of wealth. I am not ashamed of it. I will not misuse it. I will honor God with it. I will serve others through it. I will let it expand my mission, not inflate my ego. As your heart embraces this new way of thinking, your outer world will begin to shift. Opportunities will align. Doors will swing open. Resources will arrive. Not because you are lucky, but because you are ready. Because the inner container has been prepared. Because you no longer see yourself as lacking, but as overflowing with purpose, wisdom, and faith. This is not about living for wealth. It's about living from wealth. A wealth that was seated in your soul long before it appeared in your bank account. And now that it's manifesting, your role is clear: multiply, manage, give, uplift. Because when the world sees what a spiritual millionaire looks like, someone who honors God, serves humanity, and leads with integrity, they'll begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, they were chosen too. And that, chosen one, is how you lead not just a rich life, but a revolutionary one. Now that your mind has been prepared to carry the abundance with purpose and power, it's time to take the next step, to understand how wealth itself becomes a sacred catalyst for deeper spiritual growth. Let's explore that in the next part of your journey. Wealth. For many, that word stirs thoughts of luxury, material success, and worldly acclaim. But for the chosen ones, the word carries a weight far more sacred. In your divine journey, wealth is not the finish line. It is not a trophy to be placed on a shelf. It is a sacred tool, an instrument handed to you by God, not for comfort alone, but for transformation. Wealth, in its highest form, is meant to unlock something much deeper than status or pleasure. It is meant to unlock your fullest spiritual potential. You see, the journey of the chosen often begins in places of lack, emotionally, spiritually, financially. That season of struggle was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. And now, as you enter a season of divine abundance, you must understand what this increase is truly for. It's not merely for your relief, it's for your release. The blessings that are pouring into your life are meant to liberate you from the shackles of survival, so that you can dive deeper into your calling without distraction. When the burden of financial worry is lifted, the mind becomes free. Free to meditate without rushing. Free to study scripture without pressure. Free to serve without limitation. Wealth becomes the sacred margin in which your spirit can expand. As the content so powerfully says, wealth liberates you from survival, so you can focus on what truly matters: your spiritual practices, personal development, and higher purpose. These words are not just encouragement, they are revelation. Every dollar, every resource, every opportunity that comes to you now is opening sacred space for divine connection. Think of it this way: wealth is time. Wealth is clarity. Wealth is energy. When you are not constantly trying to make ends meet, you begin to notice how easily you can hear God's voice. How clearly you begin to see your mission. How deeply you begin to feel your place in the larger heavenly assignment. This is why the enemy worked so hard to keep you broke, tired, and discouraged, because lack was the distraction that kept you from activating your highest self. But no more. Now that you are stepping into abundance, you are being entrusted with divine influence. This influence is not just meant for you, it is meant to pour through you. To bless others. To amplify light in the world. You are not just a recipient of provision, you are becoming a conduit of purpose. Every act of generosity. Every investment into someone's future. Every seed sown into a cause that aligns with the kingdom. That is what spiritual wealth looks like in action. Remember the principle from Luke 12 verse 48, "To whom much is given, much will be required." This is not a threat, it is a reminder of the honor. The millions that are coming to you are not random, they are resources assigned to your soul's mission. You were chosen not only to receive, but to lead. And leadership in the kingdom looks like stewardship, humility, and vision. Wealth will test your motives. It will reflect your beliefs. It will hold up a mirror to your spiritual maturity. That's why Proverbs 21 verse 20 tells us, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." As wealth increases, so must your wisdom. So must your discipline. So must your awareness of who you are in Christ. There is nothing unholy about being wealthy, what matters is how you hold it. Do you clutch it tightly in fear? Or do you hold it with open hands, knowing that as long as you flow with the Spirit, provision will never run dry? You were not chosen to be a reservoir, you were chosen to be a river. What flows to you must also flow through you. That is the rhythm of abundance in the kingdom of heaven. And as this rhythm deepens in your life, something beautiful happens. Wealth becomes worship. Not because you idolize it, but because you honor its purpose. You begin to see every business idea, every promotion, every divine connection, not as a fluke, but as strategy from heaven. You begin to see your financial life as an extension of your spiritual life. And that changes everything. Let's be clear, the abundance you are stepping into is not here to inflate your ego, it is here to expand your impact. The world needs to see what it looks like when a soul aligned with God walks in prosperity. The world needs to see that faith and finances can coexist. That spiritual warriors can also be strategic investors. That followers of Christ can build, lead, and give on a global scale, not for glory, but for God's kingdom. This is not about being perfect, it is about being faithful. Faithful to listen. Faithful to give. Faithful to transform wealth into worship through action. You are called to fund vision. To support healing. To sponsor transformation. And as you do, you are proving that prosperity is not a threat to your holiness, it is a testimony of it. So, chosen one, don't shrink from the responsibility. Rise into it. See wealth not as a temptation, but as a tool in your spiritual toolbox. See it as a megaphone for your mission, a microphone for your message, a multiplier for your ministry. You were born for this. And as we prepare to move forward, ask yourself, am I ready to use my wealth as a weapon of light? Am I ready to walk in the fullness of my mission, financially, spiritually, purposefully? Because the next phase of your journey isn't just about receiving, it's about recognizing the divine signs that everything you've prayed for is already being set in motion. Let's continue forward, into the signs, synchronicities, and sacred confirmations that heaven is aligning everything in your favor. Have you felt it lately? That quiet shift in the atmosphere. That strange sense of alignment that tells you, without any loud announcement, that something is about to happen. Something big. If you've been seeing signs, sensing synchronicities, and walking in a state of unexpected ease, this is not your imagination. It's confirmation. The universe has begun to respond to the energy you've cultivated. You are no longer waiting in silence. You are stepping into the vibration where abundance flows freely. The path of the chosen one is rarely obvious. For a long time, your efforts might have seemed unseen, your prayers unheard, and your work unrewarded. But recently, things have started to feel different. Have you noticed how opportunities are appearing right when you need them? How people cross your path at just the right moment? How ideas show up that match exactly what you've been praying for? These are not coincidences. They are divine alignments, the universe whispering, you are in the right place. Keep going. This sacred confirmation is often delivered through what we call synchronicity, those strange coincidences that are far too perfect to be random. Like thinking of someone and receiving a message from them moments later. Like stumbling upon a financial opportunity that answers a prayer you made in secret. These events are the language of the spirit world. They are signs that the frequency you're tuned into, faith, gratitude, purpose, is now matching the frequency of overflow. One of the most telling signs that you've entered this energetic flow is a feeling of lightness. There is no longer resistance. Things no longer feel forced. The path ahead is beginning to unfold naturally, and what once felt impossible is now within reach. This is the spiritual zone known as the flow. In this flow, doors that were once shut begin to swing open. Projects that were stuck begin to move. People who once ignored you now want to connect. This is the universe organizing itself in response to your alignment. Let's make this clear, ease is not laziness. It's evidence that you've finally stopped swimming against the current of your own destiny. It's proof that your energy is no longer entangled in fear, doubt, or scarcity. You've entered a state where things come not through striving, but through resonance. You don't have to force doors open, they open because you now carry the key of readiness. But don't mistake the silence for stillness. The calmness you feel now is sacred preparation. It's the quiet before your greatest arrival. And the universe wants you to know, you are not being ignored. You are being accelerated. Just like Joseph in the Bible, whose life was marked by betrayal, imprisonment, and delay, every moment of hardship was not punishment, it was preparation. Joseph's trials shaped his character. They stretched his patience. And when the time came, he rose into abundance and influence without warning, because he had already been made ready in secret. The same is true for you. Every storm you survived, every season of lack, every moment you felt invisible, it all has led to this divine momentum. You may not see the millions yet, but the vibration of wealth is already wrapping itself around your life. The evidence is in the shift, your clarity, your calm, your confidence. When you begin to feel peace where you once felt panic, you are not just healing, you are ascending. So pause and reflect. Have you been sensing a subtle certainty deep within? Have you experienced divine coincidences that reassure you you're on the right path? Have you felt more at ease, more guided, more aware that the old resistance has lifted? These are not just feelings, they are spiritual confirmations. The universe doesn't always use thunder to speak, sometimes it uses synchronicity, silence, and sacred timing. And yet, many people miss these signs. Why? Because they expect the confirmation to be loud, flashy, dramatic. But the chosen ones are called to walk by faith, not by spectacle. That's why it's important now more than ever to slow down and notice. The door you've been praying for may already be open, but if you're too busy striving, you might walk right past it. This is the time to trust your inner knowing more than external evidence. It is the time to recognize that the peace in your spirit is a greater sign than any dollar amount in your account. That the clarity you've gained is worth more than gold. That the divine whispers you've been hearing are more powerful than any shout from the world. As it is written in Isaiah 30 verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." You are now walking in it. This alignment is the final confirmation. You've done the inner work. You've released the scarcity mindset. You've surrendered the fear. And now, you're standing in the magnetic field of miracles. You've entered the energy of enough. And the millions that once seemed like a distant hope are now a current reality in motion. Your job now is not to push harder, it's to stay open, aware, and responsive to the divine signs around you. So stay sensitive to your surroundings. Pay attention to the people reaching out, to the timing of unexpected breakthroughs, to the messages you've been hearing on repeat. The universe has moved from silence to response, and it's speaking directly to you. And as you absorb this message, ask yourself, what have I seen this week that felt too perfect to be random? What is my intuition telling me about the direction I'm heading? What do I feel deep in my bones is about to happen? Chosen one, you are not confused, you are being calibrated. You are not waiting, you are becoming. This is the final confirmation you've prayed for. And now that you've stepped into the field of divine alignment, it's time to walk forward boldly, because the next phase is no longer about signs. It's about inspired action. Let's move into it. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when watching and waiting is no longer enough. When the signs have appeared. When the frequency has been aligned. When the vibration of abundance is already pulsing through your spirit. And yet, the final ingredient is missing: action. Not any action, not random hustle, not fear-driven striving. But inspired action. This is where the spiritual meets the practical. Where heaven reaches out its hand and waits for you to grab it. The universe has already whispered. You've felt the synchronicities. You've noticed the ease. You've sensed the magnetic pull of something greater calling you forward. But here's the truth that many overlook: abundance is co-created. It's not something you simply wait to receive. It's something you participate in. God can open the door, but only you can walk through it. And now, right now, you're being asked to take the step that only you can take. Inspired action is not forced. It's not born from anxiety or fear. It doesn't come with sweaty palms and sleepless nights. It arrives gently, often quietly. A nudge. A pull. A sense of, I don't know why, but I know I must do this. It's that divine prompting that makes your heart leap even when your mind hasn't fully caught up. It might be a project you've been thinking about for years. A call you've delayed making. A move that scares you but won't leave your spirit alone. This is not coincidence. It is divine guidance, and it's waiting for your yes. Think of Moses standing before the Red Sea. He didn't part the waters through logic or effort. He acted, not because he had a blueprint, but because he trusted the voice that said move. Inspired action is that same obedience. You don't need all the answers. You just need the willingness to take the next right step. And the moment you do, the seas before you begin to shift. That's what the universe is waiting on now. Not another prayer for abundance. Not another declaration. But a step. A movement. A moment where your faith and your feet agree. Because the doors are already open, but if you don't walk through them, you'll never know what was on the other side. Perhaps the job offer, the investor, the life partner, the open invitation, they're already here. But are you ready to reach out and say yes? Sometimes, it's not the lack of opportunity that delays blessings, it's the hesitation to act. You see the path. You feel the call. But you delay. You second guess. You say, I'll wait until I'm sure. But what if certainty only comes after the step is taken? What if the proof is in the obedience, not in the planning? Let's be honest, many of us were conditioned to associate movement with fear. We were taught to wait until the money's right, the timing's perfect, the risk is zero. But the spiritual path doesn't work that way. Chosen ones are called to move with the unseen, to walk by faith and not by sight. So now, the question becomes, what is your soul asking you to do right now? Maybe it's launching the idea you've been sitting on. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who came into your life for a reason. Maybe it's finally leaving an environment that's been draining your spirit. Whatever it is, if it comes with peace, clarity, and conviction, it's your invitation to partner with the universe in bringing your blessings to life. And make no mistake, when you delay that inspired action, you delay the flow of miracles. You can pray all day, visualize every detail, repeat affirmations until your voice fades, but if you ignore the moment to move, the abundance remains suspended. The universe is constantly asking, are you ready to match my yes with your yes? That's the bridge. That's the moment where manifestation becomes reality. So let me ask you plainly, what idea has been tugging at your spirit? What door has opened that you've been afraid to walk through? Is there something that keeps showing up, a conversation, an opportunity, a quiet inner voice, telling you this is your time? These aren't distractions. They're signals. Signs that your future is closer than you think. This phase of your journey isn't about chasing. It's about responding. Listening. Obeying that still small voice inside you. The one that knows you've already been prepared. The one that knows you were made for this moment. And when you move with trust, the universe moves with you. Faith without works is dead. Alignment without action is stalled energy. That's why this step matters more than any before it. Because the chosen ones are not just dreamers. They are doers. Builders. Leaders. Vessels of divine motion. And when you act, not out of fear, but out of soul-led obedience, you activate forces far beyond what you can imagine. This is your moment. You are not being asked to do everything, but you are being asked to do your part. The universe has responded. The signs are clear. Now it's your turn. Because when you take inspired action, you don't just walk into abundance. You walk into partnership with heaven itself. And that is when the celebration begins. Chosen one, now that you've walked through every layer of spiritual preparation, through the storms, the prayers, the waiting, and the inner work, there is only one final act that remains, celebration. But this is no ordinary celebration. This is a spiritual rite, a sacred declaration. This is your moment to speak back to the heavens and say, I've received. I recognize. And I am ready for more. Too often, we're taught that celebration should come only when we've proven enough or achieved enough. But in truth, celebration is a form of faith, it is gratitude in motion. It tells God and the universe, I see what you've done, and I'm making room for what you're about to do next. It's not about vanity or boasting. It's about alignment. It's about standing fully in the energy of receiving. And right now, as you stand in this sacred threshold between who you were and who you are becoming, celebration is your bridge. When you take a moment to celebrate, whether through a joyful whisper, a quiet prayer, a journal entry, a shared testimony, or simply lifting your hands in thanks, you are doing more than acknowledging what's here. You are activating the next wave. As Scripture reminds us in Philippians 4 verse 6, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And in Psalm 100 verse 4, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Thanksgiving is not an afterthought, it is the key that unlocks the next level. Let your celebration reflect your journey. Make it intentional. Make it meaningful. You've earned this. You've endured things in silence that others would never understand. You've kept believing in the absence of evidence. You've carried promises in your spirit long after others would have walked away. And now, the fruit is not just coming, it's here. You are not waiting for abundance. You're living in it. The miracles are no longer in motion, they're arriving. The millions you've been declaring, praying for, visualizing, and expecting, they're no longer some distant prophecy. They are reality now. This is not theory. This is confirmation. The millions you've been manifesting are no longer a distant dream, they are your reality. That's the truth. You've done the inner work. You've elevated your mindset. You've healed your soul. You've aligned with your purpose. And now, everything you've prayed for is responding to your vibration. And in this moment, you must say it, I am ready. Say it as a declaration. Not a hope. Not a wish. A certainty. A command. Say it until your soul hears you. Until heaven hears you. Until every doubt that ever whispered in the back of your mind is silenced. You are no longer preparing, you are walking in it. This is not the beginning of a dream, it is the birth of destiny. Every tear you cried was watering this moment. Every setback you faced was shaping the character that could carry this blessing. Every rejection, every delay, every unanswered prayer, it was all preparation for this unveiling. Now, nothing is missing. You are ready. You are equipped. You are chosen. And this is the moment you claim your identity not just in words, but in frequency, in action, in gratitude, and in celebration. Chosen one, I want you to sit with this truth. You are not just receiving millions, you are becoming the person who was always meant to carry them. Because wealth in your hands is more than money. It is mission. It is transformation. It is divine acceleration. Your celebration marks the end of one season and the beginning of the next, a season of fulfillment, generosity, leadership, and impact. And as you celebrate, as you give thanks, let your actions match your energy. Take a moment now to confirm your readiness. Like this video if your spirit has been stirred. Subscribe to this channel, grateful to God, to stay connected with these messages that keep you anchored in truth and elevated in purpose. Comment below with Amen or 77 as your spiritual declaration, your public agreement with heaven that you are not only ready, but you have received. And more than that, share your story. How are you preparing to embrace the millions? How has your mindset shifted? What battles have you overcome to be here right now? When you testify, you prophesy into someone else's situation. You never know who's waiting on your words to break through their own disbelief. Let this space be more than a comments section, let it be a holy ground of testimony, connection, and confirmation. Don't let this moment pass by like any other video. This is more than content. This is a covenant. A spiritual agreement between you and God that what has been planted is now in full bloom. Say it again, if you feel it, this is my final step. The millions are not coming, they are already here. And let me remind you, this isn't the end. This is only the beginning of a new life lived from a new place, abundance, purpose, and power. You've stepped into your inheritance. Now, go forward and live like it. Use what's been given to you to bless others, to fund your mission, to create change, to build legacy, to glorify God in every space you occupy. Your wealth is not just currency, it is confirmation. So once more, dear chosen one, say it out loud, boldly, and without hesitation, I am ready. I am wealthy. I am aligned. I am grateful. I am chosen. And as you say it, let that truth rise within you until you feel it anchor itself in your bones. This is your season. Your chapter. Your step into all that heaven has prepared for you. Like the video as a declaration. Subscribe to remain grounded in your spiritual growth. Comment Amen or 77 if you feel this message was written for you. And most of all, share this video with someone who is right on the edge of their breakthrough, someone who needs to be reminded that the delay is over, the door is open, and their blessing is here. From this moment forward, walk with your head high, your heart full, and your hands open. God bless you, chosen one, as you step boldly into your abundant future.